there he is, seated high atop show business, ready to break it down for you and give his thoughts. I suspect the referees are in his crosshairs today. It's Kevin Hench. What's the poop, fella?
Oh my God. Every team has a fan base, and that fan base is rooting for their team to win. And then as we get down to fewer and fewer teams, obviously you have to root for one of the teams playing in the game, maybe because you bet on them or because you like one of their players. But with this Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl, what we have is those fan bases are happy and every other sports fan in the universe is sad. Like nobody roots for the Eagles outside of Philly, and everybody hates the Chiefs except for Chiefs fans. So it was just like watching, like you go, like, hey, what's the result that would make the most people super sad? Here we go again. Chiefs Eagles, great, all right, all right. And how is that going to come about? Well, the Chiefs are definitely going to win a one-score game in which they get every single break possible, including.
I told you exactly that was going to happen. I told you one-score game.
Listen, you love dynasties, and obviously everybody loves a dynasty when it's their dynasty. But when you think about dynasties historically, you go back to like the Celtics winning 8 titles in a row, like that last one, Don Nelson shoots a shot from the foul line that's a complete brick that goes straight up in the air and then through the hoop. The Steelers, Jackie Smith drops the touchdown pass. The Patriots, Billy Cundiff misses the chip shot. But dynasties typically blow out a lot of teams and then get one lucky break. The Chiefs is every game. It's every game. It's insane. It's insane. It's a dynasty of bullshit. It's a fucking nuts. What has to happen not like, okay, you're down 10 in the fourth quarter and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to hook you up with a pick. It's like, it's every game. Something insane happens. Josh Allen drops a perfectly good snap. He just drops a perfectly good snap. The MVP drops a snap. Is that Chris Jones? Is that Steve Spagnuolo? No, it's just a fucking fluke that only happens to the Chiefs over and over again. And then we all learn, of course, the Chiefs, we learn dual possession for other teams is the receiver has 50% of possession. For the Chiefs, it's the defender has 80% of possession, the ground has 19% of possession, and the receiver has his fingertip on the ball. Yeah, that's Chiefs ball, first and goal. First and goal. Like what? Like when we watch that replay over and over again, we're like, well, obviously the one thing that can't happen is this is Chiefs ball, first and goal. Like what? Yeah, no, it's the Chiefs. Here you go. Enjoy your Super Bowl, Chiefs. And then the other thing that happened is just an insanely idiotic approach by Joe Brady and the Bills coaching staff. Like, hey, are you watching the game? Yeah, you're getting no push on that left side. Like your left side's getting dominated and shoved back into the backfield. Yeah, we feel good about the sneak. We're just going to keep doing it. We're not.
But why? But let's talk about that one. There's so many things you just said that we could spend 2 hours talking about.
How about this? Has this ever happened? Has this ever happened in football playoff history? The announcer goes, "Hey man, good thing that guy's out there for the Bills because the guy that comes in after him is a big drop off. Oh, next play, he's out for the game." Like literally, Romo goes, he is. What's his name? Christian Bernard. He is the key.
Christian Benford, right?
Christian Benford. Sorry. He is the key for this defense. Oh, he doesn't know his name. Like what? Like just instantaneously.
That was wild.
The things that happen just for the Chiefs, and so obviously Sunday was a colossal bummer for anyone who's sick of this. Like this nightmare of flukes and luck and bad calls. And then the result is always Chiefs going to the Super Bowl.
Wait a second. This is something me and Eddie Spaghetti talked about.
as much as you're sick of the bullshit, as much as you're sick of the fucking calls, as much as you're sick of the fucking breaks, when you watch 3.5 hours of Chiefs games, you do not get a second of break from the fucking Chiefs because every goddamn commercial is fucking Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Stop. Stop. I mean, it's so disgusting. It's like, I mean, it's like, it's gonna, this is, by the way, how we're gonna feel about the Dodgers at their 2026 championship parade. This is good.
Oh, he's throwing it all out there, Eddie Spaghetti. Stuff that some of the soil that we covered the other day. Yes. And by the way, yes, I want to hear from the two of you, Red Sox and Yankees fans watching the Dodgers take over on a level that that George Steinbrenner on his most fanciful day could not have imagined what the Dodgers are doing to baseball right now. And I'm not sure, I don't understand high finance enough to know if it's crooked. I see some people out there trying to defend it, but we'll get back to that. Um, a fascinating point you make that somehow has escaped me, that even your Patriots, that in my head, it's all like tuck rule and a field goal miss here and a weird play there. They did take it too. They put it on the Steelers, I don't have to remind you, in a title game at least once, really hammered them. And they did the same to the Colts. So off the top of my head, those are big time playoff games in which they blew out their foe. Yeah, I can't. When the Chiefs have to have obliterated somebody during the Super Bowl run, right?
I mean,
I'm talking playoff games. I'm not talking about.
I remember because obviously, you know, we can all rattle off fucking Chad Henne off the goal line, and Cleveland Browns receiver dives for the pylon.
How far down they went to Ryan Tannehill? They almost, I mean, they went way down to Deshaun Watson. Though that's the start of the dynasty.
But that game where they went way down they were down 24-zip, I think, to Deshaun Watson. The crazy thing about that game is they're giving 10 and they cover easily. They
had the lead by halftime, didn't they? Or was
that was the Tyreek
Hill
game. Chiefs? That was the Tyreek Hill Chiefs. And that was a different team. This team, it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. But I will say this, like, they have 4th and 6 inches on their own 39.5-yard line. And they dial up a Mahomes sweep that like creates mismatch. Like they're like, as soon as they break the huddle, like they called a play that obviously the Bills were not expecting. Although you could argue, you know, Mahomes rolling right was a high probability, but it works. That's what play calling is. Did you deceive the defense? Did you create a mismatch? Did you get a first down? And the Bills going out in their like semi-tush push with no push. Like, first of all, you're eliminating all the other possibilities. The defense doesn't have to think about anything. You're going to do this fucking Josh Allen falls forward. Like, it was just it. And then, you know, even though they scored on 4th down, but the 3rd down fade to Keon Coleman against Trent McDuffie, like, this is a bad play. Their player is better than your player, and you're just going to lob it up to Keon Coleman, the guy you got because you didn't get Xavier Worthy. Like, I just thought the Bills played into everything that had to happen happened so that we could get our delightful Chiefs in another fucking.
Well, first of all, not to pat myself on the back, but the thing that I did circle was Sean McDermott, that he could be the X factor of the AFC playoffs. I don't think I was exactly right about that. I said that Joe Brady could offset the conservative tendencies of McDermott, and he obviously elevated the Bills' offense when he took over for Ken Dorsey last year. But yeah, I think he didn't carry the day, first of all. But the big thing is, I know I'm a broken record about it. The thing that's great about the playoffs is for all the rumination about this is Josh Allen's time, or can Patrick Mahomes chase a third one and all of that. Josh Allen, who, to your point, is borderline the MVP. I don't think he's going to get it, but either way, and Lamar Jackson probably is going to get it, that they go through 17 games and then another playoff game at least to get to this point. And Josh Allen, as soon as he goes out there, almost gets intercepted on 2 straight plays, and then he can't receive a shotgun snap. the pressure on these superheroes that it causes them to crumble. As I keep saying, I know more about football than I do about figure skating, but it has that same effect now where we've arrived at this station now. You mentioned the Tyreek Hill Chiefs. That is so far gone in the rear view mirror. The best teams now, pretty much with the exception of the Lions, and who knows what they'll be without Ben Johnson going forward. Um, it's just all about like, don't fall down. I don't know what a triple sow cow is, but when I watch figure skating, the suspense is this person who's been practicing it for a decade of her young life, is she going to be able to do it without falling down? I don't know the skill requirement to flip 3 times in the air. I just know if she falls down. And now that's the whole thing. Hey, Josh Allen, you have a talent that maybe 3 to 5 human beings in the history of people have ever possessed. Don't use any of it. Just don't screw up, man. Don't screw up. Play like Bob Greasy would in 1971. That will serve our purposes best. So when people talk about the unsatisfying nature of this past season, it's that. It's not the dynasty or anything else. That the Chiefs, oh, same old, I'm tired of this story. It's that the best players with few, what does everybody celebrate? Saquon jumping over the guy backwards, Josh Allen pitching that ball in a live play to whoever, Amari Cooper, whoever. I mean, those moments were pretty few and far between this year if you look back on it. I think that's the thing. But to pick up where you left off, 10 minutes ago, I am fascinated by the physical mechanics of the tush push. Why would the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen not be able to just do that? What the hell was that weirdness? What is that thing of like getting the snap and hovering back there like you
Oh
might
my
take a
God.
knee
I mean, it's like,
and then going at the left side of the what the hell are you just
yeah,
tush
it's
push.
like,
You're 6'5", man. Lean forward.
I mean, every time, obviously every time, the only times Derrick Henry is stopped is when he starts going sideways. Like you're like,
Right.
oh, this is good. He's deciding to move laterally. You have a chance now. And like Jalen Hurts doesn't think about it or look for where the advantage is. He burrows straight ahead. Like they get, I think it's called a salient in military operations. They go at the arrow. Like everybody's pushing in the same direction forward. So
Right.
it's obviously the tush push. The push doesn't work if your quarterback takes the snap and goes left. Well,
No, and hovers for a
hovers.
beat before
So,
deciding to lunge
again,
forward.
awful execution, awful, I think awful play call because by the way, on the goal line, it's one thing, but when you're out in the field of play, you still need to score. So this thing where you're like, we need 6 inches, we're going to try to get 7. Well, James Cook's averaging 8.5 yards a carry. You still need 40 yards to score. Like, feel free to get 12 on this play. Anyway. So, but to the immortals making very mortal plays under pressure, that Mahomes turnover was a bad turnover. And I was like, oh my God, it might be happening. Patrick Mahomes put the ball on the ground in a very Jalen Hurts Super Bowl kind of way where you're like, that was a really bad.
What I thought was Lions 2 weeks ago. Same sort of thing. Oh, they're about to put this game away early. There's gonna be no suspense to this. They're gonna have 2 touchdowns on the board before we barely even blink. And when that fumble happened, I thought, ooh, that's life for the Bills. By the way, another great indicator of momentum existing. Call it whatever you want. Don't be a word parser. And deny that there is a sense of confidence or lack thereof that happens based on the results you just saw. Anyway, that Shakespearean quality is everything to me. And it's not because it makes me feel better about me. Like, see, even Josh Allen feels pressure. It's what is fascinating. It's why the 17th and 18th holes on Sunday at the Masters are so captivating. Like, can this guy, who I may not know much about, but I know he's taken countless swings on the range, can he repeat that swing one more time when it matters right now for him to do it? And Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, now whatever it is, 8 years, well, maybe not 8 years in, but they're deep enough into their careers now. They have not. The answer is no. They can't repeat it in the biggest spots. That's the online empaths have
Josh
to say like,
Allen,
oh, it doesn't matter. Of course, it matters that that's the case.
Josh Allen repeated it over and over and over again to Gabe Davis in the championship game. And and that game
Okay.
was over with 13 seconds left. That certainly wasn't a Josh Allen shortcoming. That was a combination of defense, special teams, and a bad rule that had to be changed. Poor Josh Allen. But the other thing in the other game, when you watch a game on your high def TV, there's so many times where you see the hole that the runner doesn't see, where you're like, why is he going? Why is he turning it up there? Does he not see what I see? And you're like, no, he doesn't see it. He's in a fucking chaos chamber of tacklers. And a big one, was the opening kickoff of the Packers Eagles playoff game, a game that lasted one play. He had a seam and he turned like, where's the missile that's about to hit me? I want to turn into that guy at full speed. You're like, and so watching the Commanders, sort of hand the ball and the game to the Eagles, the two big fumbles, there was a fumble on the kickoff too, but the Brown going laterally, like you're not going to get any more yards. All you can do is fumble. And Eckler getting off the ground to fumble. Both those plays, when you were watching, you were begging for the Marvin Harrison, get down, stay down. Marvin Harrison was the first guy that knew he wasn't breaking any tackles. Marvin Harrison was like, first down and I'm down. And when you saw Eckler trying to get off the ground, you're like, nothing good. There's nothing good can happen. And he's like, don't worry, I'll get my knee off the ground in time to fumble. Like the only thing that can happen is you can get blasted and you might fumble. It's like,
The
yep.
mastery of Bill Belichick with those small details. He was the first guy to sort of identify that and tell his entire roster that endlessly and gave them a slight edge was don't fight for the extra yards, which is counter to everything you would think about with football. It's game of inches and all that. Go down. Very rarely will something good happen from your extra effort. But then that points to exactly what I'm talking about. It's all about sobriety. Is this what we want from our football? That like don't make extra effort. Gonna hurt the team with that Austin Eckler trying to make a play. I hear you completely, but the other side is valid, I think. Like it's all now points to like more and more in a weird way because that has been the statistic that people refer to at halftime. Even in 1980 they were circling like, here's the big difference here, John, right there. It's the two turnovers that they had. That's why that team is losing right now. We've known that for 50 years at least, like don't turn the ball over, and yet it's mattered more than it ever has before. Weird.
Well, it's funny because the Patriots bad weather ball security was just kind of the key to their whole dynasty. Like it's like, don't turn the ball over in January. And then if you look at these playoffs, you're like, okay, everybody punches at the ball, right? There's a mosh pit, and then someone comes in and swings at the ball. If Mark Andrews is holding the ball in a way that punch produces a fumble, this team wins. If Austin Eckler is holding the ball in a way, like, yeah, everyone's swinging at the ball. It becomes this crazy chaos theory. And you're like, yes, you have to take care of the ball. But if the guy, a lot of those fumbles, you're like, oh, well, everybody would fumble. The guy hit the ball exactly where, you can't run every play like a fullback with both arms around the ball. At some point, it's going to get into one arm. And if the guy comes from the blind side and makes full contact, with a tomahawk, it's probably going to come free. And it does feel like we're watching these games and it's like, guess we're just waiting to see when the ball squirts free, which
it is a matter of, I said figure skating, another, downhill skiing. Is the guy going to make it without wiping out successfully? NASCAR is the other one, the crashing around and all of that. Yeah, we've reached a weird place where the turnovers have always mattered, but they matter more now. It's this in a way, I guess. It's like the NBA. The three ball has mattered since it was installed, but it matters way more to the point that it obscures everything else that happens now. It's like if you can't do that, the turnovers are now everything. That's not great. You want to see Tyreek Hill running past everybody on some level. But I don't think the dynasty stuff has anything to do with how the Chiefs approach things, that it's their style of play or anything. The bigger point is people don't like dynasties in the present, but because I'm so cool, I am able to leave present Dave and understand that future Dave is excited about these dynasties that we're seeing now, because uh, future Dave will then be present Dave, and then he'll become past Dave, and he'll reflect upon what that dynasty was versus the dynasty in the 70s versus the one in the 80s and all the rest of it. That's what I like to talk about. So, of course, I love dynasties.